Hello and welcome to the first section of this course where we're going to cover the basics of Google Ads and how you can actually set up your Google Ads account. So in this section we're going to cover what is Google Ads and where do they appear. We're also going to look at the Google account hierarchy. We're going to look at setting up your first Google account from scratch. We're going to go into a bit of detail in location targeting, and we're also going to look at budgets and selecting your bidding strategy. Now, if you already have some experience with Google Ads and you understand how it all works, then you can probably go ahead and skip this section as you might find it a little bit too basic. However, if you have no experience with Google Ads, then I highly recommend you do not skip any sections of this course and you go through the whole thing section by section, as that will give you a really good foundational understanding and will ensure you understand every single element when it comes to Google Ads. So without further ado, let's dive into this first section. What is Google Ads? Google Ads is Google's advertising system in which advertisers bid on certain keywords in order for the clickable ads to appear in Google search results. What's important to understand is that when you bid on a keyword, you are essentially entering an auction and competing against other advertisers who are bidding on the same keyword. You only pay Google when someone clicks your ad, so you can essentially get an ad up and running for free without ever spending a penny. On top of this, you can set a maximum CPC, which stands for cost per click, and basically tell Google, this is the maximum amount of money I'm willing to pay per click. This makes it extremely flexible as you only pay what you want to pay. So now we know that, let me run you through some astonishing facts and confirm that you made a good decision by wanting to learn Google Ads. So first up, Google have a 75% market share, meaning that they are the dominant search engine in the world. Whenever someone wants to find out information, a product or a service, 75% of the time they will turn to Google, which is great for us as it means we're going to get more eyeballs onto our ads and more clicks over to our website. There are 3.5 billion searches every single day, which just confirms that people go to Google first and foremost. Amazon is growing indeed for search for products and so on, but Google is still the king by far. 71% of Google's revenue comes from Google Ads. It used to be 97% in the past, but that's dropped down to 71% only because Google has dived into other revenue streams. But 71% is still a whopping number. And because Google makes so much money from the Google Ads, they try the best and the hardest to make sure everyone who's running Google Ads actually succeeds, as that will mean they'll make more money as the people who are succeeding are going to spend more money and run more ads. So it's a win-win for both of us. In 2017, Google made a massive 109 billion, that's billion, yes, B for baseball, $650 million in revenue, which is absolutely crazy, and 71% of that revenue came from Google Ads. So if you do the maths, 71% of 109 billion, 650 million is actually 77 billion, 851 million, $500,000, which is crazy. So in this course, I'm going to teach you how you can get a little slice of that pie because this stuff is super powerful. But here's another astonishing fact. 40 to 50% of all Google searches end in an ad click. And this is really interesting to know, as a lot of people say, no one clicks the Google Ads, I never click the Google Ads, my brother, my mum, we never click the Google Ads. Ignore that, because 40 to 50% of all searches end in an ad click. And if there's 3.5 billion daily searches, then that's roughly just under 2 billion clicks a day on ads. So ads are working extremely well, and the main reason why they're working so well is because Google keep changing the way an ad shows on the search results page. So back in the day, you'd have a big yellow block behind the ad, which actually stood out quite a bit and made it obvious it was an ad. So Google actually changed that over to what we call a green ad icon. And even now they've changed it again, just to black text, literally saying ad. It's actually becoming very hard to tell the difference between a paid ad and an organic listing. And this is Google's main goal, as the harder it is to distinguish between the two, the more clicks the ads are going to get. This actually leads on to my last astonishing fact. 45.5% of users do not know the difference between an ad and an organic result. So just under half of the people carrying out a search don't know the difference between an organic and an ad, which is crazy, which just shows you how powerful Google Ads are. So now we know what Google Ads are. In the next video, I'm going to show you where your Google Ads can appear. I'll see you in the next video. Where do Google Ads appear? So Google Ads appear in two main places. The first is the search network, and the second is a display network. So knowing which one to choose for your campaign is extremely important. So 99% of the time when students come to me and they ask me what is the best network to display my ads on, I always say the search network. So allow me to explain the difference between both of them and explain exactly why I recommend you go for the search network. So first off, what is the search network? So the search network is simply Google search. So this is the most common one, and you've probably seen it yourself before in the past multiple times. You've gone onto Google and you've typed in a phrase or a keyword like women's boots, and then as you've done that, you see loads of ads at the top of Google. You see some ads on the right hand side of the page here, but the top 2 to 3 results are always going to be ads. So this is the Google search network. So one of the benefits of advertising and showing your ads on the Google search network is that you can target people who type for services or products that you offer. For example, if you offer women's boots or maybe men's hats, for example, you can make sure that your products are visible for when someone types in those searches related to your products. So the Google search network is extremely powerful and can allow you to target the people who are looking for your products and your services. The display network, on the other hand, is where you show ads on external websites, so websites that aren't Google, so maybe the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and so on. So you would show your ads on these websites in a display form. Display form meaning either a banner or an image. So with display ads, you don't have the opportunity to target a specific group of people. Your ad is literally shown to everyone who's on that website. So if you do sell, let's say, men's gloves, for example, and someone lands on that website and they're not interested in gloves, then they're not going to click your ad. So as a result, typically speaking, the conversions for ads run on the display network is usually a lot lower in comparison to ads run on Google's search network. So now we've gone through the theory of both the search network and the display network, let's go over to my browser and I'll give you a live example of both of these in the real world. So I'm now over on my browser, and if I type in a keyword such as women's boots and then see what we have, you can see straight away we have two ads at the top of the page. We know they're an ad because they have a little ad symbol right here. It is very hard to distinguish between an ad and organic. You do have to look very closely, which is exactly why I was saying Google ads are becoming more and more powerful as Google is starting to blend the ads more in with the organic section below. So at the top of the page, we have two ads right here. So these are two different companies bidding on this keyword, women's boots. To the right hand side of the page, we have another big section here, all for ads as well. So the ads you're seeing on this page is ads on the Google search network. So ads on Google search engine. So if you want your ads to appear on a page like this at the top of Google or maybe on the side, then you need to make sure you go for the Google search network. Sometimes you can have up to 4 different ads at the top of the page, and typically you have another 2 to 3 at the bottom of the page as well. So as you can see, we have another 3 ads at the bottom of the page. So let me show you a live example of an ad on the display network. So I'm over on this website now called Wall Street Journal. So Wall Street Journal is simply a news website. If we scroll down, they're bound to have a display ad somewhere here on the right. And within 3 seconds, we've already found one. So this is a display ad coming from the company called Webcast. So we actually click the X and then go why this ad. You can actually see that this ad is getting served to us from Google. We know that because we're getting this information in front of us, which is about how Google show you ads. So in this instance, this company is displaying the ad on this website through using a display network. So as you can imagine, I'm on this website right now. I'm not that interested in equity trading, which is what this ad is about. So this conversion on this ad isn't going to be that high. This company is showing the ads on a display network, and like I said earlier, there's no real way to really target the people you want to see your ad when you choose a display network. This is the main reason why I recommend that everyone should always go for the Google search network. It's way more targeted, it's way more specific, and you're more likely to have more conversions and make more money and have a more profitable campaign. The one thing where display ads come in handy is when you really want to increase your brand awareness. You can obviously run display ads and literally get your branding out there on so many different websites. That's it for this one, and you now know the difference between the Google search network and the Google display network. I'll see you in the next video. Google's account hierarchy. So in this video, I'm going to go through the main things you need to know about the structure and the hierarchy of your Google Ads account. So let's start off with this image. From the top down, you're going to have your Google Ads account. Within your Google Ads account, you're going to have campaigns. And then within your campaigns, you're going to have multiple ad groups. You can have one ad group, you can have 5, you can even have 100 different ad groups. It's completely up to you. And then within each ad group, you're going to have keywords and your actual ad. So the ads we saw on Google, they are created within your ad group, which is within a campaign. So just to give you a better idea, at the account level, so the top level, you have all the options like setting your email, your time zone, your billing, adding more users. Where at the campaign level, so the level below, you have all the options like location targeting. So that's where you determine what location you want to target with your ads. You have your ad schedule, device targeting, and then below that, at the ad group level, you have the ad rotation as well, but we'll go through each level in more detail as we progress throughout the course. The main element to understand is the hierarchy and that ad groups are within campaigns. And at the campaign level is where you set your location targeting. So let's imagine you have a furniture website. It can be a little bit confusing at first to get your head around it, and you might already be sitting there or standing and have a few questions such as, should my product be in an ad group? Should it be a campaign? Should it be a keyword? And so on and so on. So I'm going to show you the method that I utilize and we use for clients as well to determine whether we should have a campaign or an ad group for our service. So let's go over to our browser and look at this website, hygienesuppliesdirect.com, HSD online. And just to confirm, this is not my website. I have no affiliation with this website whatsoever. I'm just going to use it as an example throughout the course, just to give you some live examples to really help ensure you're getting the most out of this course. So as you can see from the website, they have multiple categories. They have a category for all their washroom products. They have a category for hand dryers, heaters, pest control, home and garden, cleaning, fans, and so on and so on. So you can actually look at the navigation on your actual website to figure out what campaigns you should have and what ad groups you should have. For example, let's look at the fan subcategory. So under fans, they have 3 different options. They have domestic fans, commercial and industrial, and air cooling. So within the fan subcategory, they have 3 main subcategories, and then within those subcategories, they have more products. Because the products have different keywords, we have ceiling fans, desk fans, extractor fans, pedestal fans, and so on and so on. In this instance, it's going to be best to have a campaign for each subcategory. So you'd have one campaign for domestic fans, and then within that campaign, you'd have ad groups for each particular product. So you'd have an ad group for ceiling fans, and then within that ad group, you would have all of your keywords that you want to bid on, such as best ceiling fans, cheap ceiling fans that are reliable, and so on and so on. So these are all keywords related to ceiling fans. So as a result, ceiling fans should have its own ad group. And that ad group should be under the main campaign of domestic fans. So hopefully you found that useful and will give you some ideas on how you can structure your Google Ads account. But again, don't worry if you don't understand at present, as I'm going to give you a live example. But essentially the main takeaway from this is you have a Google Ads account. Within that account, you can have multiple campaigns for each product you offer, such as maybe air cooling, commercial, domestic fans, and so on and so on. And then below that campaign, you'd have your ad groups, which are the products that come under that subcategory. And then lastly, you have your keywords and your ads, which are all relevant to that ad group and that subcategory. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next video where I'm going to show you how you can set up a Google Ads account from scratch. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can set up a Google Ads account from scratch. So if you already have a Google Ads account, then feel free to skip through parts of this video to find the bits you are after. So to set up a Google Ads account, all you need is 2 things. The first is an internet connection, and the second is a Gmail account. So go ahead and sign into your Gmail account. So as you can see, I'm already signed into one of my Gmail accounts, and I'm simply going to go over to Google and type in Google Ads. And I'll click the top result in organic. So I'm not going to click an ad, I'm going to click the top result in organic. This will bring up a page which looks something like this. Do bear in mind this page is going to change over time, and you simply need to click start now either here or start now at the top. So let's give that a click. And then once the page is loaded, it's going to give you 3 different options. So what is your main advertising goal? Is it to get more calls, get more website sales or signups, or get more visits to your physical location? Now you might think these are the only 3 options you can choose from. It's super important that you ignore these 3 options and you actually come all the way down here and click switch to expert mode. Now the reason why we want to do this is because the three options you have at the top is what we call a diluted setup process, meaning all of the options to choose from for your ad groups, how you're going to structure your account is completely removed from you, taken out of your hands and decided by Google, which is what we want to avoid at all cost. Google Ads is extremely powerful and we want to have full control over our campaign and what triggers our ads to show. So let's go ahead and click that button right now. Switch to expert mode. So this is going to load a page which looks like this, where it gives you way more options. Select the goal that would make this campaign successful to you. We have sales, leads, website traffic, product and brand consideration. We've got brand awareness and reach, app promotion, and so on and so on. So way more options and it's way more powerful. Now, even if you're trying to generate more sales from your website, I wouldn't recommend you go for sales. I always recommend you go for website traffic. So website traffic, the main goal of this campaign is to get the right people to visit your website. So if we follow suit on that example and use the same website, hsd.line, let's just imagine we're trying to get more sales for one of our desk fans, then as a result, all I need to do is go for a Google web traffic campaign and direct people to my website who are looking for desk fans. So let's go ahead and click website traffic. And as you can see, I have two options to run my campaigns. I have the Google search network and I have the display network. Now I've already run through the differences between these two in the previous video in this section. So if you haven't watched that video, please do go back and watch it, as it is very important you understand the difference between a search and a display campaign. Now the shopping, video and discovery options are all blurred out. That's only because I'm on website traffic. If I was to go over to leads or go over to sales, you can see we have more options coming through and so on. However, like I said, 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to pick website traffic and you're going to make sure you have the Google search network selected. So let's scroll down now. It says select the ways you'd like to reach your goal. I never really fill in this box. And again, the last box I skip as well and I simply click continue. So at the top of the page, it gives you a summary of what you've done so far. So I've gone for Google search and my main goal is to get website traffic to get more people over to my website. So the next option is to pick your campaign name. So this is the name of your campaign you're going to have within your Google Ads account. So like I went through on the previous video on the Google account hierarchy, you're going to make sure you want to pick a campaign name which is suitable to your website. You can easily use your website navigation to find a suitable campaign name. So let's go over to this website again, hsd.line. Let's go over to fans, use that as the same example. I want to run some ads for all of these fans right here. This comes under the category of domestic fans. So as a result, I'm going to give my campaign name the exact name as the category, domestic fans. So let's go back and type in domestic fans. And where do I want my ads to show? I want my ads to show only on the search network. So I'm going to untick display network. You can click this button right here and show more settings. This is where you go into more details about when you want your ads to start, do you have any URL options, dynamic search ad settings, and so on. However, for now, we don't need to get into that. So once you've picked your campaign name and you pick the Google search network, it's time to move on to the next section, which is called location targeting. So I'm going to go over this in a separate video, which is going to be the next video, as I don't want to make the videos too long, and location targeting is actually a big thing in itself and requires its own video. But before we get into the next video, if anything still is unclear on how you should name your campaign, then please go back and watch the Google hierarchy video, as it explains everything very clearly. I'll see you in the next video where we'll be running through the location targeting settings. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to cover location targeting, which is this section of your Google Ads setup. So location targeting comes under targeting and audiences. So location targeting is where you choose who you want your ads to reach. Do you want to show your ads to people in your local area? Do you want to target the whole country? Do you want to target a specific radius around your company? And so on. Whatever option you choose to go for, this is where you can configure those settings. So by default, Google gives you 3 options. The first is all countries and territories. The second is a country you are based in, which for me is the United Kingdom. And the third is enter another location. So this is where you can literally type in a location or a city, a state, a country, whatever it is that you want to target. So 9 times out of 10, you're either going to pick the second or the third one. I haven't come across that many clients that do all countries and territories unless you're a massive international company who has a massive budget for Google Ads and just want to get as much data as possible. But essentially, you can start off with picking the country you service, or you can type in a location. It's really important to note as well that if you do own an e-commerce store, then technically you can serve your whole country, but it doesn't mean you should pick your country by default, as you might actually have some data and some insight on your customers that actually tell you the majority of your customers are coming from a certain part of that country, maybe London if you're based in the United Kingdom. So as a result, you might just want to target one city instead of the whole country, and then as you get more data and more information about your customers, you can then branch out your campaign and target more cities until you cover the whole country. Which if you did want to do that, you'd simply go into enter another location, and then you simply type in the location you would like to target. So let's imagine you own a plumbing business in London, so as a result you only service clients which are based in London. So you would simply go to option 3, enter another location, and type in the word London, and then simply click the word target next to London. Before we go ahead and click target, you can actually see that Google gives you your reach as well. So this is the estimate of the amount of people who are based in the city you want to target. So as we can see, London roughly has 31,500,000 population, so as a result, that is going to be our reach. However, if we didn't want to target London, we can actually exclude that from our list as well. So maybe you've reviewed all your data and your customer insights, and what you've noticed is that London is actually a really bad city for you. You don't get that many clients there, your conversions are really low, so as a result, you want to run your ads everywhere except London. This is where you use the option exclude. Or you could do it nearby as well. So let's give that a click and I'll show you what that looks like. And as you can see, we now have location areas which are all local to London. We have Essex, Hertfordshire, Surrey, Kent, the London Borough, and so on. So you can really get granular and find out locations which are local to London, which might do well for you as well. But for this instance, I'm going to click close and simply click target on London. And now I have a campaign which is just targeting the city of London. You can go into the advanced search as well and actually target people by a specific radius. So as you can see, we have location up here, and we can actually go over to this tab on radius and simply type in the same address. So type in London for the city, target, and as you can see, it's added a 20-mile radius around London as I have 20 miles right here. If 20 miles is simply too large, I do believe that is a default number. You can simply change this to 5 miles and then put in London again, or whatever city you like to target. Click target and you can see it's added a new circle as well. So do bear in mind, if that is the case for you, you are going to want to remove the other ones, such as this one right here, 20 miles around London, and we'll take off the main London. And as a result, we're now only targeting a 5-mile radius around London. You can also use the pin mode as well, which is really useful. So if you're working with a client, or maybe it's your website and you know you're based, let's say somewhere up here in Holloway, let's zoom in on that. You can simply use the pin mode and then simply click Holloway and set your radius 5 miles again, as I have 5 miles up here, and click target, and as a result that will do a 5-mile radius around any location you want to target. So as you can see, this stuff is super powerful. If you are working with a local business, or maybe you just want to show your ads to people in a specific area, you can also go down to the postcode as well. So we can type in a postcode like IG11 Barking, for example, which is a place in the United Kingdom. Let's take off this one so you can see this circle right here. And as you can see, I'm now doing a 5-mile radius around the postcode of IG11, which is a town called Barking in the United Kingdom. So it really comes down to how detailed you want to get. Now do bear in mind, there isn't any right or wrong option. I would advise you start off with the third option and simply target one city, and based on the data, I would either scale up or scale back the campaign. And do bear in mind as well that if you are running on a tight budget, targeting a big city like London is probably not a good idea. You might want to go over to Google Maps and type in London, for example, and you might want to find small towns within London and start off targeting those areas first. So for example, this is all of London right here, as you can see. And within London, we have a place called Croydon, Twickenham, we've got Harrow, Wembley. So if you are running it on a small budget, you want to put in a smaller area, as that means less people are going to see your ads, which will result in less clicks. However, if you want the most data, then do go ahead and target a larger area, such as a city. So now we pick the location we want to target, you might think, great, I've now done my location settings. If you do think that, then you're going to be wrong, but I don't blame you, as I thought that as well when I was new to Google Ads. Google are known for wanting advertisers to spend the most amount of money on their platform. Why? Because it means they make more money. So as a result, there's actually more options you want to configure, which is going to be under location options. So let's give that a click now. And as you can see, we have 3 options under target and we have 2 options under exclude. So the options under target is essentially the people you want to target with your Google Ads. So at present, Google has ticked the top one for us, which they say is recommended, which says target people in or who show interest in your targeted locations. The reason why this option is recommended by Google is because it's the option which is going to make you spend the most amount of money. Now, what this option means is that people can be in another city to what you're targeting, type in a keyword you're targeting, and then see your ad and click on your ad, which means you're going to spend money. Now, if you are a local business and you only service London, then you don't want anyone else seeing your ads who aren't based in London. So having this top result ticked is going to make sure anyone can see your ads, no matter where they are, if they type in one of your keywords. So if that is you, you are going to want to go ahead and simply click the second option, which is target people in or regularly in your targeted locations. This means anyone who sees your ad is going to be in your location or they're regularly going to be in your location. And Google will know who's in your location regularly as they track everyone's data. Now, if you're not a local business, maybe you're an e-commerce store such as HSD Online, the website we reviewed earlier on in the course, then maybe you can have a top one selected. Just do bear in mind, if you have the top option selected, you're going to spend more money as more people are going to see your ads. So it all comes down to preference. There's no right or wrong option here. The last option under target is target people searching for your targeted locations, which if I'm honest, I've never used this option once as it results in a lot of wasted clicks as these people are just searching for your targeted location, so which is London, but they have no interest or anything I have to offer. They simply just typed in a keyword like London and they see my ad. So I wouldn't recommend you go for the last option. And under the option exclude, we have two options. We want our ads to exclude people in your excluded locations, which is recommended by Google, or we can exclude people in or who show interest in your excluded locations. So this is only applicable if you add an excluded location, which if you do, then I highly recommend you go for the second option and exclude people in or who show interest in your excluded location. So again, if I use the same example of a local business, maybe from all your data and your customer research, you find out that London is not a good city for you. So as a result, you want to exclude London. If someone north in Manchester of United Kingdom, 300-400 miles north of London, searches for a keyword you've excluded, but they're not based in London at the time of searching, then they're going to still see your ad. This is why you want to go for the second option and ignore what Google say with the recommended, as like I said before, the recommended option 9 times out of 10 is going to make you spend more money. A lot of beginners when it comes to Google Ads always go for recommended as they believe it's the best option. However, as you have this course, you don't have to be one of those people, you can go for the smart option and save money. So once you finish customizing your location targeting, simply click location options to close the menu, and then for language you'd simply want to make sure you have the correct language selected, which for me is going to be English. For the option below for audiences, I wouldn't worry about this section for now, as you're working on a new Google Ads account, you won't actually have any audiences you could target that's going to be beneficial for the campaign. So let's go ahead and close that for now. In the next lecture, I'm going to cover the budget and different bidding strategies you can utilize. I'll see you there. Hi, and welcome back. In this section, we're going to go over the budget and the bidding options you have when you set up your Google Ads account. So this is an option just below the location targeting, which is what we just set up in the previous video. So budget and bidding. So on the top box, you get to define how much you want to spend per day. So this is your budget. So before you run any ads or do anything like that, you need to determine how much are you willing to spend every single day on a Google ad. Now the amount you're willing to spend is going to vary depending on what keywords you target. For example, if one click for one of the keywords you want to target is £10, then having a daily budget of £5 isn't going to make any sense. However, as we don't know that data just yet, it doesn't really matter what you put in here for now, and you can always come back to here later and actually change this information. So what I like to do is always put in £3 or $3 just as a random number. There's no reason why you can't do more or less, but essentially you just want to put a number in this box just so you can go ahead and actually set up the account. Again, to confirm, don't worry about this number. We can play with this once the account is set up. So for the option below for bidding, as you can see, Google is asking us, what do you want to focus on? And by no surprise, Google is recommending me for my campaign to get the most amount of clicks. Why? Because if I get the most amount of clicks, it means I'm going to spend the most amount of money, and it means Google is going to make the most amount of money. And like I said before, going with the default option that Google select, which is always recommended, is not always the best option. So in this instance, what we want to do is change our bidding strategy and go for a different option. So if I click the drop down arrow, you can see we don't actually have that many options. We have recommended, which is clicks, conversions and conversion value are both grayed out. The reason why they're grayed out is because it's a brand new AdWords account, as we don't have any data on previous conversions. And the option we have at the bottom is impression share. We don't want to go for this one. What we want to do is come off this and then click or select a bid strategy, which is actually not recommended by Google. The reason being is because you won't spend as much money. But essentially what you want to do is click this link right here. And as you can see, we now have more bidding strategy options. We have target CPA, target ROAS, which stands for return on ad spend. I'm going to go through all of these bidding strategies in a separate video. In fact, I'm going to make a separate section for all of these as there's so much to cover. But for now, for the purpose of this video and just getting your Google Ads account set up, you simply want to go for manual CPC, which stands for cost per click. So when you go for manual CPC, you are essentially telling Google there is a certain amount of money that you're willing to spend per click. This gives you full and complete utter control of your Google AdWords account. If you don't go for manual CPC and go for maximize clicks, which is what Google recommends, what will happen is Google will not care about your goal, your main conversions, what you're trying to achieve. It will simply try and get you as many clicks as possible and make you spend the most amount of money. Remember, Google make over 70% of their income from people running Google Ads. So now I've selected manual CPC as my bid strategy. You can actually see Google is giving me a warning box saying, setting bids manually may result in lower performance. Use smart bidding to help improve results by using more signals to optimize your bids. Whilst this is true, if you don't know what you're doing, this isn't the case for us, as we're going to be going through every single thing in great detail. So for now, for the purpose of this video, make sure you go for manual CPC. And like I said, I'm going to create a whole nother section covering all of these bidding strategies, and I'll go through exactly when you should use each one and which is the best for your goal. However, for now, let's just go for manual CPC and get the account set up. So once you've selected manual CPC as your bidding strategy, I typically go to the bottom and click save and continue. I don't go into show more settings, which is the ad schedule and ad rotation, as I'm going to cover this in a separate video later on in the course. Again, the purpose of the videos in this section is to just get your account up and running. So again, ad extensions, I'm going to have a whole other section for that as well. So let's click save and continue, and that's going to take me to another page where I start configuring my first ad group. In the next video, we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to go through setting up your first ad group. And then you're going to land on a page that looks like this, which is where you set your ad group. However, for now, like I said, the section of this course is just to get your Google Ads account up and running. So we're not going to create any ad groups in this section of the course, but what I'm going to do is simply just fill in any information just to get the setup process done. So ad group 1, I'll leave that as a standard name. Default bid, which is my maximum CPC, my cost per click, I'll leave that as £3. Again, we can change this all later on in the course anyway, so it doesn't really matter for now. Let's click save and continue just to get the setup process done. It's going to be exactly the same process for creating ads. Again, I'm going to have another whole section on how to create ads for Google Ads. So for now, let's just scroll down and click save and continue. And then lastly, the last part of the process, so step 4, the part you can't skip and you have to fill in is going to be your billing. So this is simply going to be your tax information, your name and address of your business, if you have one. If not, then you have to use your home address, put in your primary contact details, so your name and your email address, how you're willing to pay, and obviously your method of payment as well, so your credit card or a debit card. So it's important to note as well that payment structure for Google Ads is done automatically. So how it works is you add on your credit card details to your Google Ads account, and once you reach a threshold, Google is going to automatically charge your card. So you do indeed have to set up your billing information before you can actually start to run any Google Ads. So what I'm going to do now is fill in all of my billing information, and then I'll show you what your screen will look like after once you've clicked submit down here. So I've just filled in all of my billing information, I've clicked submit, and now I'm going to click explore your campaign. So this is going to take me to the campaign dashboard showing all the campaigns I have for my Google Ads account. And just like that, you've set up your first Google Ads account, and you're now ready to dive into the main sections of the course, which is finding all the keywords to target, the keywords to bid on, match types, how to create your ads, ad groups, and so on and so on. So I'm going to see you in the next section of the course where we're going to dive into all of the juicy parts. I'll see you there.